Little Austin Bryson lies buried. His tombstone reads, Our baby boy, an angel, January 7, 2012 to March 26, 2018. Just hours after he slipped into the world, his father Jeremy sat shattered and numb, absorbing the piercing hiss of sandblasted granite until he was presented with a completed headstone with both dates in place. He stored it in the garage for 6 years, knowing all along this would be the day Austin's short life would come to an end. The day before he passed away, Austin awoke to a cool spring morning. His parents had not told him it would be his last full day on Earth. His last day to roll his trucks across the floor. His last day to ride his tricycle up and down the driveway. His last day to eat his beloved marshmallows roasted over a fire. That night, the family of 4 gathered in the backyard, his favorite toys lined up on the grass. He played with each of them one by one, twisting, dismantling, assembling, swooshing, bouncing. A digital camera propped up on a pile of building blocks captured the final hours they shared with him, along with whatever raspy giggles he could muster up in between coughing fits. It was the only time his mom had allowed him to unwind his bothersome scarf and throw it off to the side. Just before midnight, they cuddled under blankets on the living room floor and watched Austin's favorite movie, Finding Nemo. They fell asleep side by side with the sounds of animated fish still playing in the background. An hour later, his mother flung herself from a deep sleep. Anxiety had gripped her during a dream, crippling her lungs, cutting off her oxygen, the strength of boulders crushing her chest. Fighting her way out from under the blanket, she sat up gasping for air, crawled to her son, and tugged his comforter back. He lay in his usual sleeping position, on his side with one hand tucked under his cheek. But the wheezing in his chest had subsided. She pounced, pulling his arm out from under him, flattening him, shuffling his head back and forth between her palms. He did not wake. She lifted his eyelids, called his name, but he was gone. The pneumonia had taken Austin already, so early in the morning. Tears streamed from her eyes, her body convulsed with the pain of what felt like a million needles poking out from inside. As much as she prepared for this day, this exact moment, none of it helped. She had now lost her only son. Her wails blared like sirens, yanking her husband and daughter back to reality they so easily escaped while asleep. But upon opening their eyes, desperate to understand, it was all too clear. The image of a hysterical mother collapsed over her son had culminated their tragedy. For 6 years they had known this was the day they would say goodbye to the sweet little boy, a gash through their hearts far worse than they could have ever imagined. They wept in each other's arms until the glow of the sunrise burst through the windows. The following day, they attended Austin's funeral, in place since the day he was born. Chapter 2. Someone please do something about this, Priscilla said to no one, pacing the walkway unaccompanied, her high heels hammering the pavement. The lack of activity around the house had just about exhausted her patience. The reason she suggested to Jeremy they leave the cemetery in the first place was to make sure every detail wouldn't be tossed up to land in a tangled mess. And now it had. In her eyes, it was the beginning of a catastrophe. Over the past 15 years, Jeremy and Priscilla Bryson had secured their spot as best hosts in the neighborhood. And to give that title up now would be ridiculous. In a matter of minutes, a heap of guests would cram into their 2-story house, expecting to unwind with chunks of food dangling from toothpicks. Some had even traveled to the Connecticut home from as far as Maine, and as of this moment, she didn't have so much as a cocktail napkin to offer. I can't let this happen. This has to be perfect, she thought, her eyes landing on the light blue finish of the house matching the cloudless sky above, ready for its dim into evening.